So, as soon as the coronavirus came out, and obviously China was a big issue, Sharina and I started having conversations in around how's it going to affect you guys going up there. So I've got a brother-in-law who lives in Hong Kong. I've got a cousin who used to live in Hong Kong and does a lot of travel arrangements through Hong Kong, and also through China, and also through actually a lot of Asia. And so I've lent on them for a lot of advice. I've also been in touch with a travel insurance company, Covermore, in regards to their stake on everything here, as well as the airline, Qantas, and also 3 other airlines that fly in and around that area about where do they sit and what's happening and how does it all affect everybody and what's going on. Effectively, to put a really, really long story short, Hong Kong's open for business and there's no reason to be worried about it. Now, let me just qualify that a little bit. All of my conversations with Sharina in regards to this is the best interest of the club, the girls, and the tour. If it wasn't safe, I wouldn't be telling you it's safe to go. Okay, so all the advice I'm getting from everybody in sundry is telling me Hong Kong's open. People are still travelling through there. Flights are going through there. There's nothing different to any other day of the week. All the issues are around the province of Wuhan and the city within Wuhan that has had the outbreak, and people who have spread out from there. So I've also sought some advice from some medical people in regards to the virus itself, and people who are the adults in the room will remember the likes of the swine flu and the bird flu and the H1N1 and all those other various viruses that came out from basically the turn of the century, and every second or third year there seemed to be one. And Chris, you might be able to elaborate to this as well, but my understanding from those who I've spoken to about it is that it's the same demographic of people who are likely to become infected with it who are going to be more of a fatality risk, and those are going to be people such as the elderly, respiratory problems, pregnant women who can't be treated for it, and young children are the risk. Unfortunately, what the media is doing is they're saying another person died, but they're not telling you it was a 98-year-old guy who had asthma all his life. So, the media love to sensationalise that sort of stuff as well. So when it comes to the coronavirus and Hong Kong's open, and they're ready for anything to come through. So, now when it comes to the tour itself, we're like 5 weeks away from when you guys leave. So the important thing with that is this information I'm telling you is as at now, or as at yesterday afternoon when I got off my last phone call at about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and I've had no other indications about anything else from people I've been trying to get information out of in regards to it. So where does it come from as far as the financial commitment that you guys are putting in and the emotional commitment you're putting in? So first of all, Qantas have said to me that the flights are going, they're not going to China because China's, 1, not allowing them in, and 2, they don't want to go there. Hong Kong are letting them in, and they do want to fly there because they've got scheduled flights to go and there's no reason why they shouldn't go. So Qantas have said to me, if they suspend flights to Hong Kong based on the virus, you'll get your money back. Unequivocally, I've spoken to 3 other airlines about it and they've all had the same story. We're still flying in, I don't know why you're asking the question, and if we do suspend flights, you'll get your money back. So that's regarding the flights, okay? In regards to the other part of the tour, accommodation. Accommodation is very simply, once you pay for accommodation in a group sense, it is unlikely that they will refund much, if anything at all, in regards to anything you pay. So then it comes back to the travel insurance. The travel insurance policy was in place on the 6th of January, and Covermore have issued a statement saying that anybody who's got a travel insurance issued prior to the 23rd of January will be covered for any incidences that happen while you were travelling in regards to the coronavirus. So as far as you guys are concerned, you're safe as far as that goes. It doesn't mean that if you cancel because of the coronavirus that you'll get your money back. That's a different issue, and I'll address that shortly. The travel insurance that's in place has a specific wording in it that says that if you cancel, if the trip is cancelled for reasons outside your control, then that's a claimable issue. Now, the best I can get out of the travel insurance company at the present time is it's case by case. If you decide, oh, we're not going because it's coronavirus, they will not pay out. Okay? If the airline says we're suspending travel to that part of the world, then I've said to the travel insurance place, what are we supposed to do? Get them on paddle boats, make them swim? How are they going to get to Hong Kong? Obviously, if the airline is not going, it's unsafe to go, you need to pay out. They said, you raise a very strong point. We cannot give you a categorical answer to say, yes, you're covered, but it's a very strong point, and without saying your claim will be accepted, everything is taken on a case-by-case scenario. If the event organisers in Hong Kong say, we've cancelled the event due to lack of numbers, again, the insurance company have said it's a case-by-case scenario. If that's the reason that you are not travelling, then we would argue the point that it's situations beyond your control. Because the reason you're going is a specific event for that weekend. You're not going on holiday. That's not what it's all about. It's a genuine intent to travel. Then, without saying categorically 100% yes, you're covered and you get your money back, what they're saying is that on a case-by-case scenario, it is something that is very arguable that you would have a good claim. And in my experience, there's a high chance that you would probably get your money back. I can't say you 100% will, but a high chance that you will. Okay, so where does it stand at the moment? For the monies that you've paid at the present time, we've had to pay out deposits on airline and accommodation. Okay, if you decide at this point in time that you don't want to go, I'll be honest, I don't know that I can get a lot, if anything, back from the suppliers, because Hong Kong's open. There's no reason why you shouldn't go. Okay, the travel insurance will not cover you because you feel fearful of coronavirus while you're away. There's no reason why you should be, because they've contained it. There's no outbreaks, and there's a containment, and there's protocols when you go into Hong Kong. Now, the area in Hong Kong that you're going to, I understand, is quite a way away from the CBD, and if there was going to be any issue in regards to your travel to Hong Kong, it would be more CBD related than it would be where you're heading to, the area of town that you're heading to in the CBD, away from the CBD. So, from where I stand, I would be advising you to have the intent. Go and enjoy it. It's a life experience. This is going to be amazing for the girls to go along and what sports trips are all about. Team sports trips are all about. They are all about the life experience you get with it, the opportunity to bond as a team, the benefits that come out of the personal development of being away. And I would say right here, right now, that if I was told by any one of the information people that I've been to that there was a risk, I would pass on that risk to you and let you know and make an informed decision based on that. But everything I've been told right here, right now, is Hong Kong is open and there's no reason why you should be thinking about not going. So,
Wasn't the flight stopped on the 7th of March?
to Hong Kong? No.
That was from years. So we've got
All flights. When was that? Was that today?
about 3 4 days.
Okay, I'd love to see the press release, because I've spoken to 4 airlines and they're all still flying to Hong Kong. No one's flying to China. They're all still flying to Hong Kong. The flights are still going. So I haven't had any releases from the airlines that have come to me to say that they're not. And I've spoken specifically to business development managers within 4 different airlines, and they said we're still flying. So if they all have said, if we suspend flights, you will get your money back. So they're all travelling still to go to Hong Kong. Just to put a case in point, my son is travelling to Hong Kong on Saturday, and then he's travelling across to, on Sunday, and he's travelling across to Japan on Monday. And his advice has been, it's the advice on Smart Traveller, and that's a site you should keep an eye on, is exercise caution, but it's not saying don't travel. If you look up China, it says do not go, do not travel. It's for Hong Kong, it's saying exercise normal caution.
So where do send the kids to school for 2 weeks after as well. They have to self-quarantine at home and
If they've been exposed to coronavirus, they have to self-quarantine. That's the official medical officer out of Queensland. He's put public notices all around, on radios, all over the place to say that. If you come back from Hong Kong, you do not have to self-quarantine for 14 days.
No, our schools are saying that.
We came back from Japan.
Well, that's up.
They're all this, don't worry about it.
That's up to the schools. But if you have not been exposed to it and you don't have flu-like symptoms, it's life as usual. That's what they're saying on the radio. That's the official word from the Queensland Chief Medical Officer.
I understand parents' concern about not sending their children to school for the 2 weeks and quarantining them.
Don't your school holidays start when you get back? 2 weeks.
They do?
Yeah, it's
thought
Easter.
we're away.
No, it's Easter. No. Yeah,
2 weeks Easter holidays as soon as you come back.
that's right. So you're off school
Kids are
anyway.
away a week
Yeah,
of school and then they come back and they've got 2 weeks of school holidays.
that's right. So they're away from
2
school
week
anyway.
quarantine there anyway.
Yeah,
Good timing.
perfect.
Can you talk about
Very good point. So the airline requires payment for their seats at the end of this week, and if we don't pay, we don't get the deposit already paid back, and they will forfeit the seats. So we could get them back, but then they'll be at a different price. So that is as at Friday we have to pay them. Okay. I actually asked that question, and there are very few cancellations into Hong Kong. In fact, there are more bookings into Hong Kong because people can't get into China. So people are flying to Hong Kong. There's other parts of China. Remember the size of China. It's massive. Wuhan is just one little spot. Okay, so the likes of people who are doing business in Beijing and other large centres, not Shanghai. People are not going to Shanghai. Okay, but Beijing and other cities, you cannot fly into China, but you can fly into Hong Kong and cross the border and exercise normal quarantine requirements and go on to those other cities. So I understand people doing that. So it's got a little bit of the reverse effect because it is a place to go. It's one of the only places to go to get in. Macau is another place you can go to get in if you really wanted to go to China and do business, if that's what you're there for. I don't know if I'd go to China for holiday. I don't know if I'd be going on business either, to this quietly. But if you look at the geographical spot where Wuhan is in China compared to where it is, where Hong Kong is, there's quite a bit of separation. And China's a massive country. Remember, how many people have died in that? It's like 800 people, I think they said on the radio this morning. Yeah. China's got a population of 1.3 billion people, and 800 people have died from it. China is doing an amazing job containing this thing.
Right.
Hey? Well, you can have a sceptical view on it.
Yeah. I think it's a great opportunity for, you don't have to show you. It's a good opportunity for everyone, as Nick was saying, about getting more than just the tour or the tournament out of this. It's your personal growth. It's being responsible for yourself. So it's a good opportunity for the girls to be looking after their health, making sure that they're doing responsible things, reducing their risk of becoming infected. And even if they do come back with a cough, cold, runny nose, it's not necessarily going to be the coronavirus.
Can I just emphasise the point? Can I just emphasise the point is that the people who are fatalities from these viruses, and I'll bring into point, the bird flu and the swine flu and all those previous ones of the last 10 or 15 years or whatever, have been people with respiratory problems or elderly or very, very young.
Yeah.
Okay? I haven't got case studies. I can't tell you all about coronavirus that it's going to be that again. But the medical people I've spoken to have said it's virtually the same thing happening again as it's the people with respiratory problems. So if you've got, asthma or bronchitis, then you could be more susceptible to it. If you've got, if you're elderly, generally very unhealthy, those sorts of things, that's when you're going to be more susceptible to it. That's come from 3 people in the medical profession that I spoke to over the last 2 weeks.
It's pretty much like seasonal food. People that don't include people with...
Yeah. Okay. So if you've got a genuine intent to travel, okay, if the airline doesn't go, you get your money back from the airline, okay, and if the airline doesn't go, then we go to the travel insurance company with the policy already in place, and we make the claim on the policy based on situation out of your control. You couldn't get to Hong Kong. Flat, that's it. Okay? But you have to have the intent to travel. You can't sort of hedge your bets and say, well, let's make that decision on the 15th of March. Okay?
Everyone needs to be on the same page though. We can't have half of both teams committed to going and paying their fees and the other half sitting on the fence saying, we're not paying our fees, we're waiting until they cancel or it's 2 weeks out. We need to pay the airline, otherwise we lose our tickets.
That's
Some of us
essentially
have
it.
paid the full funds and I don't think it's fair to expect other people to pick up
I
that
think
money.
that's a general concern for most, if not all, the parents, is whether when they pay their money, whether they can get that back. And I think you've explained it very well. And if it's out of our control, then there's a good chance we'll get that back. But there's no reason why we should be concerned, because
That's right.
if it wasn't going to happen, it would be closed. You know what I mean? It would be,
Can I just add to that too, is that World Rugby would not run the Hong Kong Sevens
Well,
a
that's
week
the other-
later
yeah.
if they were concerned about it.
and that's the main
And
leg of the
that's
Rugby
right.
Seven tour, is Hong Kong Seven.
That's the crown and the jewel,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's exactly a week after us.
Exactly.
So if they get cancelled, then you know for sure that there's no chance we're going.
Yep. Exactly.
No, I understand.
So, other questions? Anything I can give you some feedback on?
I did have a question from another parent who's not here in regards to coming back into Australia with a New Zealand passport with the coronavirus. There's no extra quarantine, etc.
Standard quarantine. If they come in with coronavirus, they're going to have a 14-day quarantine period. Yep.
Did you work out if it's 3 months or 6 months for passport?
So
Yep, I can
Like
address
you-
that.
Yeah.
So the standard industry answer is 6 months.
Yes.
Okay. So I did a bit more research on Hong Kong, and it did say that you can get in with 3 months on it, but it's not advisable. Okay. If you get to the border and they say you haven't got enough time on your passport, then they just simply won't let you in the door. They'll fly you back to Australia. So if your passport is that close to expiry, I would suggest that you've got a passport because you travel, you just update it 3 months early.
How long does it take these days?
What passport?
it's about
Australia
4
or New
weeks.
Zealand? Australia?
I just got mine done. It's about 4 weeks.
Yeah,
4 weeks.
Not
you,
even.
you can get them done in 3 to 4 days, okay, but obviously at a price. Yep, an emergency one is like $600 or something. A regular renewal is something like about
You've got time.
150. Yeah, get it sorted.
Not even 4
Absolutely.
weeks.
No, it's like 2.
It was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, if
New
that.
Zealand ones you can get them done in about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I can do mine.
Yeah.
For Fiji, not Hong Kong.
Hey?
We go to Fiji, then we go to Fiji the week before. Fiji's 6 months.
I'll tell you another story about Fiji shortly.
Oh,
My
okay.
wife got in with an expired one. I'm not kidding you.
Really?
Yeah.
Straight up.
I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this question,
Yep.
but what if you fall sick a couple of days or on the day that
Oh,
you're
that's
set
it.
to
What
leave,
does it
and
help?
they're doing fever management in Hong Kong, they're
Yep.
checking temperatures, etc.
Yeah, good question.
And they decide that you can't come in,
Great question.
but you
Okay.
still want to tour.
Okay, so the question surrounds about illness prior or leading up to. So illness and injury, if you're unfit to travel, travel insurance covers that. Okay, but you need to get a medical certificate to say you're unfit to travel, or unfit to travel for what you're going to do. So touch wood, doesn't happen. But if one of the girls, breaks a bone or becomes sick and can't travel, then the travel insurance is there to cover that. There's a cancellation cover within the travel insurance that covers exactly that.
So I suppose if, say, like the day before someone was unwell, you just need a doctor's letter to say
You
they're
need
going
to
be
get a
very
medical
specific,
certificate to say they're unfit for travel.
so that they can't travel.
Cool.
That's an
Yep.
Yeah.
If they could have-
Yeah, because they wouldn't like Aviva.
So that's what I was thinking.
We've had, our company's had an example of that. There was a kid going to New Zealand to play tennis, and they were leaving on the Saturday. On the Friday afternoon, he dislocated his kneecap, and he couldn't travel, and he got all his money back out of the travel insurance. So it works.
Cool.
Yep.
Anything else? Brad?
Numbers wise, right now,
Was it numbers wise? Oh, that's not me.
Managers.
So no, under 16s have a full